My beloved brothers and sisters, how many of us have been running from one job application to another, waiting for that one email, that one phone call that will change everything, only to be met with our CVs. We prepare for interviews, we make endless du'as, yet the doors remain closed, and then we sit alone, asking ourselves, why Allah? Why is nothing working? But let me remind you of something powerful. Sometimes it is not rejection, it is redirection. Sometimes Allah is keeping you away from what you want, only to give you something far greater than what you even imagined. We think provision is in the hands of the employer, the company, the recruiter. But Allah says He is our Rizq, the provider, the sustainer. Jobs may be scarce, but His treasures are endless. The world tells you to chase opportunities. Allah tells you to chase Him, and the opportunities will chase you. So today, I want to talk about why you should stop chasing jobs and start chasing the one who provides jobs. Because once you reconnect with Allah, the doors you never even knocked on will begin to open. How many times have you felt that heavy weight of rejection? You send your CV, you prepare, you wait, and then nothing. No reply, no call back, no offer. You begin to feel as though you are invisible, as though your efforts mean nothing. But what if I told you that rejection is not always rejection? Sometimes it is Allah's way of redirecting you to something better, something more suitable, something that aligns with who you truly are and what you are truly meant to do. Think about it. If every door opened just because you knocked, you would never discover which door was truly written for you. You would walk into rooms that may not serve your purpose. You would settle in spaces that were never meant to bring you peace. Allah in His wisdom closes certain doors so that you are not distracted from the doors that will truly benefit you. Imagine a person applying for one job over and over again, pouring their heart into it, only to face silence. Their heart breaks, their confidence drops, they begin to doubt their worth. But what if the silence was actually protection? What if that environment was toxic? What if that job would have pulled them away from prayer, from family, from inner peace? Allah sees what you do not see. He knows what you do not know. What you think is a rejection may actually be Allah's greatest gift to you. There are countless examples where people have cried over missed opportunities, only to later thank Allah for not giving them what they once thought they desperately needed. A student may feel rejected by a university they dreamed of, but years later, they discover that being redirected to another path opened doors that were far more fulfilling. A man may feel heartbroken because a business deal falls apart, only to realize later that if it had gone through, he would have drowned in debt. This is why the believer looks at rejection differently. The believer understands that Allah's plan is always superior to our plan. When Allah says no, it is because He has prepared a better yes. Rejection humbles us. It softens our hearts, makes us turn back to dua, pushes us into sajda, and reconnects us with Allah. Without that pain, without that delay, we may have forgotten Him. Sometimes rejection is the very reason we rebuild our relationship with the Almighty. It forces us to question, to reflect, to realign our priorities. Instead of seeing it as a closed door, what if you saw it as Allah gently pulling you towards another path? You see, the problem is not always that you are not qualified, or that you are not good enough. The problem is that you are chasing a door that was never written for you in the first place. And because Allah is most loving, He will not allow you to settle for something that is beneath the standard He has written for you. So He redirects you. He blocks your path. He delays your progress. Not to punish you, but to protect you. Not to reject you, but to redirect you. So many of us wake up every morning with one thought in our minds. How will I earn today? How will I provide for myself, my family, my future? We chase after money, jobs, promotions, and recognition. But in that chase, we often forget the one who actually provides all of it. We send applications, we run after people, we stress ourselves endlessly, but we fail to realize that not a single grain of rizq will reach us except by the decree of Allah. Provision is written, and Allah has promised it. He is our Rizq, the provider, the sustainer. Yet, we treat jobs and people as though they hold the keys to our livelihood, forgetting that those keys belong only to Allah. It is so easy to confuse the means with the source. A job is a means, not the source. A salary is a channel, not the origin. We think the manager signs our paycheck, but it is Allah who placed that sustenance in our path. We think the company is giving us stability, but it is Allah who is holding our life together. When you forget the provider and only chase the provision, you will constantly feel restless, anxious, and unfulfilled. But when you remember Allah, the source of all provision, your heart finds peace even before the material arrives. Look around at the people who seem to have everything in the world. Big salaries, high positions, beautiful homes, yet many of them live with emptiness. That is because they chased provision but ignored the provider. Their hands are full, but their hearts are empty. On the other hand, you may meet someone with very little, a small business, a modest income, but their heart is full of light and contentment. Why? Because they never forgot the provider. They understand that real rizq is not just money. It is health, it is barakah, it is peace, it is a smile, it is the dua of your parents. It is the calmness in your heart, when you lay your head down at night. The Prophet reminded us that if we were to truly trust in Allah as we should, He would provide for us just as He provides for the birds. They leave their nests in the morning hungry and return in the evening full. The bird does not sit in the nest waiting for food to fall. It goes out, it makes an effort, but its trust is in Allah, not in the tree, not in the sky, not in the seeds. Likewise, we must make effort, but our hearts must remain attached to Allah, not to the job market or the economy or the connections we think will bring us success. Chasing provision without remembering the provider leads to exhaustion. You run and run, but you never feel satisfied. But the moment you shift your focus and begin chasing Allah, something changes. Doors you never imagined begin to open. Opportunities that were hidden begin to appear. Even the smallest income begins to feel like enough, because barakah enters it. And when Allah decides to expand your provision, nothing in this world can hold it back. Many people assume that rizq only means money, a paycheck at the end of the month, or a figure written in the bank account. But in reality, true rizq is so much more than a number. True rizq is not simply what enters your hand, it is what enters your life with blessing. It is not about how much you have, it is about how much benefit and barakah it carries. You can earn a 6-figure salary and yet feel emptiness, restlessness, and sleepless nights. Or you can earn a modest income and sleep peacefully with a heart full of gratitude. That peace, that contentment, that calmness is also rizq. Barakah is something only Allah can give. It is that secret ingredient that makes a little feel like a lot, that stretches what seems insufficient, that makes time, health, energy, and wealth expand beyond what is measurable. A person without barakah may earn plenty but see it vanish in debts, hospital bills, stress, and conflicts. Another person may earn a small amount but see it grow, last, and bring happiness. This is why the Prophet taught us that true wealth is not in the abundance of possessions but in the richness of the soul. That richness, that satisfaction, is rizq. When you think of rizq only in terms of money, you overlook the countless blessings you already have. Your health is rizq. The air you breathe without paying for it is rizq. The dua of a mother, the smile of a child, the love of a spouse, the support of a friend, all of that is rizq. Even the ability to pray, to remember Allah, to cry in sujood, that is rizq greater than any salary. Because how many people live with wealth but are deprived of peace, while others live with little, but are full of gratitude and joy? There are people who chase bigger salaries only to realize they lost their family time, their health, their sleep, and their deen along the way. That is not rizq, that is burden. On the other hand, someone may choose a simpler path, maybe a smaller business or a quieter job, but they earn halal, they live with dignity, they are close to Allah, and they have barakah in their time. That is true provision. That is what makes life meaningful. It is important to shift the definition of success. If success is defined only by salary, you will always find someone who earns more than you, and your heart will never rest. But if success is defined by barakah and peace, you will realize how wealthy you already are. You will stop comparing, stop competing in worldly numbers, and start appreciating the treasures Allah has already poured into your life. Because rizq is not just about money that comes in, it is about the blessing that remains, the serenity that fills your heart, and the connection with Allah that sustains you through everything. From the time we are young, society teaches us that success means having a high-paying job, a big house, a luxurious car, and a long list of achievements that people can admire. The world constantly pushes us to measure our worth by how much we earn, how many degrees we have, and how high we climb in our careers. But when we look at the Quran and the teachings of the Prophet we find a completely different definition of success. Allah does not measure you by the size of your salary or the title on your business card. He measures you by the sincerity of your faith, the purity of your heart, and the righteousness of your deeds. Worldly success is temporary. You may have the best job today, but tomorrow it can be taken away. You may be admired by people for your status, but their admiration can quickly turn to criticism. What people call success is often fragile, unstable, and filled with stress. On the other hand, Allah's definition of success is eternal. He tells us in the Quran that the true winners are those who are saved from the fire and admitted into paradise. That is the ultimate success. It is not measured in years or decades, but in eternity. What benefit is there in gaining the entire world, if the soul is lost along the way? When a person shifts their mindset from worldly measures to Allah's measures, everything changes. They no longer feel pressured to compete with others in material things. They focus on competing in good deeds, in acts of kindness, in worship, in helping others, in staying away from sin. They begin to see their job not as the definition of who they are, but as a tool, a means to serve Allah, to provide halal income, and to bring benefit to people. Even if the job is small in the eyes of society, it becomes great in the sight of Allah when done with sincerity. Think of the countless people who appear successful to the world, but are empty inside. They have wealth, but no peace. They have titles, but no family bond. They have influence, but no closeness to Allah. That is not success, that is deception. Then think of someone who has little in terms of dunya but prays regularly, has a clean heart, helps the poor, and goes to bed with gratitude. That is success that cannot be taken away, because it is built upon a foundation that pleases Allah. Shifting to Allah's definition of success brings freedom. You stop worrying about how others perceive you, and start focusing on how Allah perceives you. You stop exhausting yourself chasing endless worldly goals, and start finding peace in aligning your life with what matters in the Akhirah. You start to see that success is not about being known by millions, but being known by the one who created you. It is not about applause from people, but about forgiveness from Allah. It is not about how high you climb in worldly ranks, but how close you come to Jannah. Every single one of us is searching for provision in one way or another. Some are searching for money, others for health, some for peace, and others for opportunities. We spend so much of our energy chasing after rizq as though it is hidden somewhere in the world, but Allah has already told us in the Quran exactly how to unlock it. He did not leave us guessing. He gave us clear keys, and among the most powerful of these are taqwa, istighfar, and sadaqah. These three are not just spiritual acts, they are doors that open rizq in ways you cannot even imagine. They are the shortcuts to blessings that go beyond what the eyes can see, and the hands can hold. The first key is taqwa. Allah says in the Quran in Surah Talaq, "And whoever has taqwa of Allah, He will make for him a way out, and provide for him from where he does not expect." Taqwa is more than just fear, it is awareness of Allah in every moment. It is obedience, consciousness, and trust. When you live with taqwa, you stop chasing haram shortcuts, you stop panicking when things don't go your way, and you begin to align your life with what pleases Allah. And when that happens, Allah promises to open doors you never even knocked on. Opportunities come from places you could never predict. Rizq flows in ways that surprise you. The world tells you to hustle harder, to network more, to stay up later. But Allah tells you that if you want a way out of hardship and unexpected provision, build taqwa. Think of a person who loses their job and feels like the world is closing in. If they panic and chase every door, they may find themselves compromising their deen, taking what is doubtful, or lowering their morals just to survive. But if they choose taqwa, they continue praying, they avoid haram, they remain patient, and they keep their trust in Allah. Before they know it, Allah opens something for them that was never on their list, something far better than they imagined. That is the power of taqwa. It aligns your heart with Allah, and in turn, Allah aligns your provision with you. The second key is istighfar. The Prophet told us, whoever constantly seeks forgiveness, Allah will make for him a way out from every distress and a relief from every anxiety, and will provide for him from where he does not expect. This means that seeking forgiveness is not only about erasing sins, it is also about opening the doors of rizq. Sin blocks blessings. Disobedience creates barriers. Sometimes the reason our provision feels stuck is not because the opportunities are gone, but because our hearts are heavy with sins we have not turned back from. Istighfar clears those blocks. It cleanses the heart, it removes the rust from the soul, and it brings down blessings from the sky. Even Prophet Nuvi told his people, "Seek forgiveness from your Lord, indeed he is ever forgiving. He will send rain from the sky upon you in abundance, and give you increase in wealth and children, and provide for you gardens and rivers." Look at how istighfar is directly linked to increase in Rizq. Imagine starting every morning with sincere istighfar. Before you reach for your phone, before you worry about the bills, you say, "Astaghfirullah, O Allah forgive me." You mean it with your heart. You say it while reflecting on your shortcomings, while longing for Allah's mercy. This istighfar does more for your rizq than 100 rushed applications. It cleans your slate, it softens your heart, and it invites blessings into your life. Sometimes we wonder why our effort is not bearing fruit, but the problem may not be the effort itself. It may be that we are carrying a load of sins that weigh us down. Istighfar lightens that load and allows us to move forward with Allah's mercy paving the way. The third key is sadaqah. Many people think, how can I give charity when I barely have enough for myself? But the Prophet told us, charity does not decrease wealth. In fact, it increases it. Sadaqah is like planting a seed in the unseen. You may feel like you are losing something when you give, but in reality you are investing it in a field that Allah Himself nurtures. It comes back to you multiplied in ways you cannot calculate. Sometimes it returns as financial blessings, sometimes as health, sometimes as protection from harm, sometimes as opportunities that appear out of nowhere. Sadaqah is not about the size of the amount, it is about the sincerity of the heart. Think of someone who gives even a small coin, or a date in charity with full trust in Allah. That small act can unlock rizq far beyond what money could buy. Allah looks at the sincerity, not the size. A person with millions who gives with arrogance may see no blessing, while a person with little who gives with humility may see doors open wide. Sadaqah protects, it purifies, it multiplies. It is one of the fastest ways to turn scarcity into abundance, because Allah Himself has promised that what you give for His sake will never be lost. It will always return to you in a form that is better. When taqwa, istighfar, and sadaqah are combined, they create a powerful cycle of provision. Taqwa ensures you are walking on the right path. Istighfar clears the blocks that stop blessings from reaching you. Sadaqah multiplies and expands whatever Allah grants you. Together, they bring down the kind of rizq that money alone cannot buy. They bring barakah, peace, health, safety, and opportunities that align with your deen and your dunya. This is why when we look at the lives of the righteous, we see that they were never obsessed with chasing provision. They were obsessed with pleasing Allah, and provision followed them. The problem many of us face is that we invert the formula. We chase the dunya and forget the deen. We run after provision and forget the provider. We withhold sadaqah because we think giving will make us poorer. We neglect istighfar because we underestimate the weight of our sins. We compromise taqwa because we fear losing opportunities, and in the process, we block the very doors we are desperate to open. But when you reverse this and begin with Allah, when you put taqwa first, when you make istighfar a habit, when you give sadaqah even in hardship, suddenly you see a shift. You no longer need to run after provision. Provision runs after you. You no longer fear scarcity, because you know that the treasures of Allah never run out. You no longer measure your wealth by numbers alone, but by the peace in your heart, the barakah in your time, and the unseen protection that surrounds you. This is why the believer never despairs. Even when the world seems tight, even when jobs are scarce, even when people shut their doors, the believer knows that Allah's doors are always open. Taqwa, istighfar, and sadaqah are the keys that fit those doors. They are the keys that unlock rizq from places you never imagined. They are the keys that turn scarcity into sufficiency, and sufficiency into abundance. They are the keys that remind you that provision is not limited to money, but extends to every blessing in your life, from the smallest smile to the greatest victory. There are times in life when you feel as though you are standing in front of a locked door. You knock once, you knock twice, you knock again and again, and still the door does not open. You pray, you make dua with tears, you put in the effort, and yet the silence continues. In those moments, it is so easy to believe that Allah has denied you, that maybe you are not meant to succeed, that perhaps Allah does not want to give you what you are asking for. But the reality is very different. The delay you are experiencing is not denial. It is preparation. It is realignment. It is Allah reshaping your path so that when the time comes, you are ready to receive what is written for you in the best way. Every believer, must understand that Allah's timing is perfect. We see only the moment we are in, but Allah sees the entire story of our lives from beginning to end. What looks like a delay to us may actually be Allah saving us from something harmful, or Allah holding back a blessing until we are mature enough, wise enough, and strong enough to carry it. Sometimes we ask for a job, a marriage, a business, or an opportunity, and when it does not come right away, we feel broken. But think of a child who begs to drive a car. If a loving parent denies the request, is it because they do not love the child? No, it is because the child is not yet ready. Giving it too soon would harm them. Likewise, Allah in His mercy withholds certain things until the timing is right. What feels like a delay is actually a shield. There are countless stories where people later thank Allah for delaying their plans. Someone applies for a job over and over and receives only rejection. Months later, they discover the company collapsed. Someone prays desperately to marry a particular person, but things do not work out. Years later, they look back and realize that had they married that person, their life would have been full of pain. At the time, they cried and felt forgotten, but later they saw that Allah's delay was actually protection. It was not a no, it was a wait. It was a redirection towards something far more suited for them. Preparation is another reason for delay. Sometimes Allah does not give us what we ask for immediately, because we are not yet prepared to handle it. If He gave you the promotion today, maybe your ego would grow. If He gave you wealth now, maybe you would forget your salah. If He gave you the marriage you want right this moment, maybe you would not yet know how to be a good spouse. Allah delays so that you can grow into the person who can handle the blessing. The waiting period is not wasted time. It is training time. It is where your patience develops, where your character strengthens, where your faith deepens. Without that preparation, the blessing could become a test you are not ready to pass. Realignment is also part of Allah's delay. Sometimes we are walking in a direction that we believe is best for us, but Allah knows it is not. So He closes certain doors and places delays in our path, so that we are gently pushed towards another direction. At first, it feels painful because we are attached to our plan. But later, when we see where Allah was guiding us, we realize that His plan was far better. Just like a GPS reroutes you when you take the wrong turn, Allah reroutes you when you are chasing the wrong path. His delay is His way of slowing you down, so that you can notice the turn He wants you to take. This is why the believer never despairs during delays. Instead of seeing silence as rejection, the believer sees it as Allah's way of saying, "Not yet. I have something better. Be patient." This mindset changes everything. You begin to use delays as opportunities to improve yourself. You spend that waiting time in istighfar, in dua, in learning new skills, in building better habits, in getting closer to Allah. Then, when the blessing finally arrives, you are not only ready to receive it, but you are also able to appreciate it fully. Sometimes the delay is not about the blessing becoming ready for you. It is about you becoming ready for the blessing. Look at the lives of the prophets. Yusuf ibn Zirali spent years in prison. Was that denial? No, it was preparation. It was Allah shaping his character, strengthening his resilience, and aligning events so that when he came out, he would not only be free, but elevated to a position of authority. Musa Sidiwanli spent years in exile before returning to lead his people. Was that wasted time? No, it was realignment. It was Allah placing him in the right circumstances to learn, to grow, and to return at the perfect moment. Even the Prophet Muhammad did not receive revelation until the age of 40. Decades passed in which he was prepared, protected, and positioned by Allah, so that when the Quran came, he was ready to carry the heaviest mission in history. Your life is no different. The delays you face are not empty. They are filled with purpose. They are filled with hidden blessings. Sometimes Allah delays because He wants you to increase in dua. Had He given you what you asked for immediately, maybe you would have stopped calling upon Him. But by delaying, He keeps you in constant conversation with Him. That itself is a gift greater than the thing you are asking for. Other times Allah delays because He wants you to detach from dunya and attach to Him. If He gave you the job, the wealth, the spouse right away, maybe you would rely on them instead of Him. So He waits until your heart has learned to put Him first. Then He gives you what you desire in a way that does not pull you away from Him. Allah's delay is never random. It is calculated with perfect wisdom. It may test your patience, it may break your pride, it may force you into sujood, But all of that is part of the preparation. The real success is not getting what you want when you want it. The real success is trusting Allah even when you do not understand His timing. That trust, that tawakkul, is what transforms waiting into worship. It turns frustration into faith. It turns anxiety into serenity. And when you finally see the blessing unfold, you realize why the delay was necessary. Without it, you would not have been the person capable of carrying the blessing with gratitude and humility. So the next time you feel delayed, remember that it is not denial. It is Allah protecting you from harm, preparing you for growth, and realigning you with His plan. The silence you hear is not absence. It is divine presence working behind the scenes in ways you cannot yet see. What feels like a closed door today may be the very thing that leads you to the open gates of tomorrow.